All right, here we are again after a 2 month layoff. Just had a lot of life issues to deal with, you know, just different things. My father died, stuff like that. So, anyway, I'm back, and this is the Majestic Ontario Crit number 4. And it's a good race, it's a good, fun race. Um, Got to give kudos to the Go Fast team. They came in with the strategy, and there's some really good race dynamics and just really good execution by their squad. Um, yeah, it was a good race, and unfortunately, if one team has a good coaching, Pat coaches them up really well, and if a team has a good coach, a good director, a good leader, they start learning tactics and things like that at a lower category. And some of the other teams, they some of the other teams don't have the same coaching or whatever to counter what's going on. So it took a long time for a lot of the riders in the race to understand that, hey, when one of the Go Fast riders is off the front, there's going to be one or two that's trying to control the pace and just covering moves. So some of the riders just wouldn't go around the Go Fast riders, and they're even yelling things like "pick up the pace," and it's like, why would they chase their teammate? That's kind of rule number one: don't chase your teammate. But a lot of times at the lower levels, like Cat 4, Cat 5, people are a little bit selfish, and their teammates in the breakaway, and they run it down and just pull everybody to it. So again, hats off to like Ricky. I don't remember everybody's name. I don't know everybody's name, but I know I know Ricky. Obviously, we've been racing together for this whole year or whatever, and we talk a lot online and stuff like that. So Ricky was one of the guys that was controlling the pace and covering moves. So it's just they did a great job staying disciplined, recovering after they attack, and then covering all the moves that tried to bridge. And unfortunately, when you're in that type of situation, some of the other teams that have 4, 5, 6 guys, they have to nominate themselves, go to the front, and do a little work. Whatever your strategy was at the beginning of the day, it may have to switch. I was solo today, no teammates in the race. I still did 2 minor pulls off the front, only because I would have done more if there was people to work with. TJ from Major Motion, Ace from Major Motion, Ladon, they helped out some too, but the problem was that nothing was coordinated. So once one of us did a pull, the rest of the peloton would still sit behind the 2 Go Fast riders that were covering moves, and they didn't understand, like, no, you have to go around the Go Fast team if we're gonna run them down. And everyone's just kind of expecting everyone else to run them down. And don't get me wrong, if you've seen my videos before, I don't do much work. I sit on a wheel and I'm trying to get to the end in a good position to sprint. That gives me the best chance personally to win. But and I don't even mind, honestly, if Go Fast wins off the front. That's not a big deal to me. To a certain degree, I can still do my same strategy, because me personally trying to run it down, yeah, that's not who I am, and that doesn't give me much of a chance at all for success. But I'm definitely willing to work with people. So anyway, the race is on. It's hot. Go Fast already has a rider off the front, and he does a good job. I mean, he's dying, just kind of killing himself, but he stays off the front for over 10 minutes. We were kind of joking about how long he is off the front, but it doesn't really matter. He stays off the front for the good first third, first half of the race. And as you can see here, like, yeah, we're not going fast. We're going 18, 19 miles per hour right now. And for whatever reason today, the pace was slow, but it was a little bit hard. And I know there was some headwinds here and there. It was obviously a little cold this morning, but it was a pretty hard race. And again, here you got 2 Go Fast guys at the front of the peloton slowing it down, and then you got 1 or 2 of their teammates off the front. And again, we gotta, if you want to bring it back, you gotta go around and you gotta work and pull. If someone takes a pull and they pop, or which obviously you want to give them some relief before they pop. That's one strategy to try to run down the break. But then midway through the race, when we know that they're going to keep firing bullets, well, another strategy is don't run it down completely. Just keep it in range. Keep it at a 2-second gap, a 3-second gap. You know, again, their teammates not going to bridge to it and attack from 50 yards back. You know, they're going to wait till we run it down and then attack again. If you don't want to keep covering attacks, then let it dangle. You know, just keep it at 2, 3 seconds, 5 seconds. Just something that you and your team, or however many people you have with you, you know you can run it down, you know, with a couple laps to go or whatever. And that's just another strategy. So anyway, we're off. We're racing. Go Fast kind of pimped the field, and they pulled off their strategy. Even though they didn't win in a breakaway, you know, they controlled the race good enough to where, you know, it was in their favor and everyone else was uncomfortable. It's not that the pace was so hot or anything. It's just it threw off people's game plans. I heard people talking about setting up lead outs. Well, it's kind of hard to set up a lead out when you're trying to run down a break and you're kind of burning some of your lead out guys. So yeah, it's just a lesson to be learned. Number 220 right there, Velosport rider, did a great job. He's working hard, holding wheels, and you got to give it up to all the smaller junior riders, because if they lose a wheel, they're dropped. Like, they can't push the wind themselves a lot, and it's not because just their age, but you know, sometimes they're just lighter weight and it's not easy. They don't have like some of that high-end power sometimes to get back onto the wheel. So great job for any juniors in this race that are a little bit lightweight, and you know, they hung in for a very long time here. So here's the same thing. If you can see, a couple Go Fast riders up there, second and third wheel. My man right here is dropping off the pace, but he already did his job up there covering moves. Now Ricky's back on TJ's wheel covering another move. And yeah, he's just going to ride TJ up to the front. If TJ bridges, another attack's about to launch. If TJ doesn't bridge, he'll shut it down again and kind of slow the pace down. So yeah, it's just great execution, and it's kind of different, a couple different opinions on this. So I've heard people say, you know, some experienced riders, sometimes even some Cat 1s and stuff, saying, hey, don't worry about team tactics when you're in Cat 4 or Cat 5. They're just like, hey, just try to get the highest position you can get. And you know, I'm a somewhat of a nobody, but I don't agree with that. I think there's never ever an excuse to not learn the sport, no matter how old you are. You know, you don't want to bore people sometimes, like take the fun out of it with too many tactics, but there's never a reason to slow down someone's understanding of a sport. If they can handle it, they can handle it. So here I'm not trying to pull, but the pace slowed so much, I'm like, we can't go 20. The rider off the front's probably doing 25 to 27, and honestly, he's been out there for a while. He's probably not doing much more than 25 miles per hour a lap right now. So I just didn't want the pace to slow down, and I wanted to show that, hey, everyone that watches my videos, they know I don't usually do this, but you know, 300 plus, 250, 260, stuff like that, that's a pull for me, because I don't usually work when I get to the front. I'll shut it down. But I'm willing to say, hey, let's work, let's pull it back if that's what we want to do. And if we get cooperation, I'll keep pulling. If we don't, which as you can see, it's just me and TJ. TJ's back on his second and third pull now, with Ricky covering him right on his butt again. So we need more cooperation than that. And I try to coach people up right here, and I'm like, hey, Go Fast is not gonna pull. So if you're gonna participate in this pull, because everybody's yelling pick up the pace, you're gonna have to go around Go Fast and take your turn at the front. So Ace goes up to the front right now to take his turn, and you need more cooperation than that. And there's too many people willing to just slot in, and that's fine. You know, you can't really dictate the race to everyone. They're gonna race the way they want to, as long as they realize you're racing for second and third right now if you don't put in that work. Here goes my man Willie Brown, Dr. Chocolate, to my right. You know, I hadn't seen him for a couple weeks because I was gone for these last 2 months just with dealing with life. But it's always good to see him in the race, and he's a good guy, and you know, I like it. I like following him, stuff like that. I was hoping to get a lead out for him later in the race, but you know, we had some unfortunate circumstances take place, and I wasn't able to use him. But he ended up using me as a lead out. I think I held him off at the line, but he finished right behind me, so it's, another good job by him. But it's very weird circumstances at the end, and you'll see it shortly. So here we're doing a decent pace, and I don't know if we completely brought them back right now or not. Brought the Go Fast rider back or not. No, it looks like he's still dangling off the front there. But the effort has picked up a little bit. The pace has picked up. It might be a preem lap also. I'm not sure, but it makes no sense if it's a preem because, again, unless you bring back the breakaway, your preem is already won by the breakaway. So, hopefully we got a little cooperation. Major Motion did a lot of work trying to run it down, mainly TJ through the early parts of the race. But again, you can't run it down with one guy. We need more cooperation than that. So Dr. Chocolate has a little gap to close here, but it's not a big deal. He knows his momentum is taking it, so he closes it down, and here we go. So once again, people are like slowing. I see Ladon had did his pull, and he pulls off. I'm dyslexic, so I'm yelling on your left, but I'm actually on his right, and he ended up moving to the right. So, but again, here I put in a little dig, a little 350 watt pull or so, just to try to keep a little momentum and get other guys to keep the speed high. We don't want to slow it down. And for a split second, I almost started to bridge it. I was just going to put in a low sprint, maybe like an 800 watt sprint or something, and see if I can bridge it. But then I just thought, one, that's not my wheelhouse. Not the sprint part is, but if we're not going to carry out when I bridge to the Go Fast rider, I don't know what he has left, and I don't know if that's his intention to take it to the house or not. So if he's going to shut it down in a second, then it makes no sense for me to bridge to it, especially since honestly that doesn't give me my best chance for a high finish to go bridge and then pop myself, you know what I mean? Because more than likely it's really hard for one or two people to win in a breakaway in Cat 5. A lot of time our sustained power is just not high enough, and a lot of us don't train it enough to do, put it this way, people cry about doing an FTP test, and that's just trying to hold, your highest kind of like threshold that you can, and that's just typically a 20-minute test. Well, not no one, because I do it sometimes, but a lot of people don't train on holding something 30 minutes, 40 minutes, stuff like that. So that's what you got to do. If you plan on being a breakaway guy, you got to really know how much power you can hold and for what duration. So Bros Ride Bikes right here in front of me. One of the newer members, I think, to their team, but it's good to see them coming together. I think they have 4 guys in the race today, and I would love to see them go up front too, but of course they got 2 juniors, so it's kind of hard expect like lighter people to really run down brakes. So I think stage 2, and I'm not knocking anyone, but I think stage 2 could have done a little bit more work since they had a little bit bigger team. And I think there was another team out there with another 4 or 5 guys in it. So, but again, I think just, a lot of times people don't get coached up on tactics in Cat 5. They get coached up more so on hold the wheel, try not to use too much effort and things like that, but not really on race strategies or race tactics. So now basically I'm kind of back into my sit-in mode. I've done my 2 kind of pulls. So at this point, I'm thinking, if Go Fast stays away off the front, I know a lot of those guys anyway, so it's no big deal to me, and I'll just work back on trying to win the bunch sprint or something. So that's just part of it. Like sometimes there's races within a race. You hear a lot of macho stuff of everybody saying like if you're not first, you're last and all that. A lot of that is BS. There's a lot of different races within any race. And sometimes you're just working on something. Sometimes maybe you want to go off the front and see if you can recover after trying a pull or a breakaway, stuff like that. You don't always have to be like, oh, it's first or last. That's kind of, honestly, that's just like a poor way to look at the sport. There's a little stat floating around. I think GCN is the one that I heard it from. But they were saying there's only 5% of people in the world that ever win a bike race. So that's basically 5% of the bike racers that race ever win, and only 3% win more than one bike race. So trust me, that's a lot of us out there never winning a bike race. So Anyway, I'm not sure if we brought it back or not. Um, Maybe I can't tell off the front right now because obviously I'm too far back, way further back than I want to be. But I actually did a lot more work than I wanted to in this race. Usually, my average power for one of these crits is usually somewhere between like 210 and 220 watts. And I have a goal of trying to be under 200 watts for a crit, and that just will show that I raced efficiently and used minimal energy. And in this race, I was at 251 for the crit. And even though for some people that's not a lot of watts, but it's more watts than I want to use, and it just shows that it means I did more work than I wanted to do. And even though it's not the end of the world, it does play into how your legs are going to feel at the end of the race and how much punch you have at the end of the race. Especially for someone like me, I'm more of a snappy acceleration guy, and I need all that power at the end of the race. I don't care if it's a half a watt, I need it. So, I'm not sure, I might get his name wrong, but the Velosport rider right there, very inspiring for me to keep making these videos. At the end of the ride, he comes up and he tells me that he started racing because he was watching my videos. And, that's like incredibly humbling, and it's like, makes you feel kind of inspired, but also a little responsible. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed, like, I don't cuss on my videos and stuff like that. I try not to be derogatory towards anyone because to me, that's just not what the sport is. And for the most part, I try not to blame people either. If I get my wheel chopped, it's probably because I had my wheel somewhere I shouldn't have had it. And there's a lot of wild lines in this race later. There's a lot of people all over the place. I get it. When you see the desperation starting to sit in on people. But honestly, the more you practice your craft, the less scary it is. I don't worry about it. I'm not really even worried about someone bumping me or running into me or whatever the case may be. Don't overreact to people's movement. And so to hear that a junior started racing from watching my videos, like that just honestly, it made my day. Like I did place decently today, but like if I wouldn't have, that still would have made my day. It's just like getting someone into the sport, and especially from someone like me who hasn't been in the sport for a long time, like that's very motivating to keep doing what I do, spending 4, 5, 6 hours editing videos and stuff like that. Like, just recharges your battery sometimes when you get a little burned out. And not only that, he was right on my wheel at the end, and I think he came in 2 spots behind me. So, hopefully, I inspire him enough to beat me soon. So, yeah, on this stretch too, in a little bit, there's going to be a major crash on this stretch. It's just bad luck on this little road right there, where the road is all beat up on the inside. I like the course this direction, even though like the speeds are a little slower. Like we don't hit as high as speeds, but it seems like in the last couple weeks it's been a little safer. Today there was a number of crashes, and a couple people did get hurt, but it's not something that typically happens. Like, you had a crash right at the finish line, I think in the Cat 3 race, and there's not too often that, people are full speed, 36, 37, 38 miles per hour, and have a crash at the finish line. But it happened today, caused a big pile up. And other than that, we had our crash on the south straightaway that's kind of like really beat up, and I don't know if that really played into it or not, but that was really about it. So there's Eli in front of me too, and I just want to point out something too. Eli also does a great job. So you got like Eli and Jack, they have their own YouTube channel too, and I think it's the Bros Ride Bikes. But Eli does a good job of not falling off wheels too much. If he starts to sag, he'll put in that hard effort and close it up real quick, and before letting it sag off too much. I can't tell what lap this is, but I think we're getting kind of close to like 3 to go or so. And yeah, it gets pretty hot. Like this is It's a very interesting end to it, and yeah, it was a challenge. You know, you're gonna see shortly, but it was a challenge. I think maybe it's a spot. I don't know if this is a spot or not, but I think this might be the crash right here. I don't catch it on camera though, so. No, that's not it. So it must be like the next lap or so. Anyway, if you can see, like, again, our speeds are a little bit low. I think normally on some of the other races we're 27, 28 up this stretch. And you can see if we're 3-4 wide, it means it's not as fast as it could be. Usually it'd be stretched out a little bit more than this. My heart rate's only 169, so we're definitely not going fast. Yeah, we're just, you know, again, credit to Go Fast. They're controlling the pace, you know. You got someone off the front. You don't want the speeds hitting 28 or whatever, or 27, because the solo rider off the front can't carry those speeds alone. So you want to slow it down as much as the group will allow you to. And since people were, again, reluctant to go around, it's just, it is what it is. And honestly, I have no clue what I'm doing back this far in the peloton. So their trick worked on me too, you know, their Jedi mind trick worked on me too. And then I said, hey, I got to move up. What am I doing back here in like 30th place, you know? The draft is good back there, but the surging is not, and it's not going to help me. I'm not in a good position, so I got to move up. I think I started using the outside here because people are getting a little desperate and a little sketch on the inside. So I started using the outside and just carrying a little bit more speed and making up some spots here and there. I think this is one of the spots that I'll try to move up real quick. I'm definitely way too far back right now, and I know it. I just don't want to put in too much effort, but still I gotta hit a little 400 watts here, make up some spots. And it's pretty easy too for me. I don't have a big deal. I mean, it's not that hard for me to make up spots, but again, sometimes you're using more energy than you want to use. And for me, I need it at the end. I need all the watts I can get. I think here it is. We're coming down we're coming down to the last few laps, and you know, again, Go Fast is still off the front, and we still need to run that down. And I think Ladon from Major Motion is going to do a great job. He's going to commit to it at one point. I can't remember for sure if it was Ace or Ladon, but I think it was Ladon. Like, he basically just almost puts in a full sprint and bridges it. But unfortunately, you know, he's popped at that point because he had to do something. He tried to bridge solo, kind of, you know, leave the peloton behind, bridge solo, and then maybe, you know, them two can go and battle it out for first and second. But yeah, he kind of popped after catching him, and the peloton was kind of like right on his butt. So he kind of popped, and then you know, luckily, or not so lucky for some people, because obviously people get hurt in crashes and stuff like that, but there was a crash, and you're going to see it right here, crashing. Well, you're not going to see the crash, but we crash, and then it's neutralized. So, you know, if the crash isn't neutralized, I mean, if the crash doesn't neutralize the race, you know, my man Ladon, I think he was in a little trouble right there. So bang, I hear an explosion, and then there's just carbon fiber rattling behind me right here. It sounded really bad, and I know a couple guys got hurt, so hopefully everybody's okay today, and if not, we wish them a speedy recovery. So this is Jack right here in front of me too, from Bros Ride Bikes. Takes a glance over, sees me coming, he tries to keep the wheel, puts in a little dig here. I'm impressed by this little dig right here that he puts in, because look at my power. I'm doing almost 400 watts, you know. I'm skinny fat, you know. I'm a skinny dude, but I do weigh over 170, and a lot of guys just don't weigh over 170 in bike racing. But yeah, I basically just got dropped by a junior, and I'm hitting 400 watts. And to be honest with you, we only got a lap to go. This is 2 laps, so when we come around, that's going to be the bell lap. And I'm at 192 beats a minute on my heart rate. And that just means, yeah, if I keep going, it's going to be Pop Goes the Weasel right here. So I sit in for a second, just to get a little breather. And that was LaDon to my left right there. He had put in that dig, so we already ran everything down now. It's all one group again. No one's off the front. And we got a lap and a half to go. So as we turn the corner here, if you look to the right, unfortunately, there'll be a couple injured guys on the ground. All the marshals are pushing us to the left side of the road to go around everyone and trying to keep the race going. But unfortunately, I think some of the riders needed medical attention, or two of the riders needed medical attention if you look to the right there. And yeah, it's never a good thing to see. So like I said, hopefully everybody's okay and got up. And then as we turn the corner here, they're neutralizing the race. And I don't know what to think about it. It's good that we got to finish, but it's a real difficult situation. It's kind of like being caught in a crash or getting a puncture, and you get a free lap, but you got to come back in and catch the peloton with cold legs. Well, the medical attention took like 15, 20 minutes. It took a long time, and we didn't get a chance to warm up. We just sat here on the start line, basically, right here where they neutralized us. We got a lecture. We get to start again, and it's just a 2-lap sprint. That's all it is we got 2 laps. So it's one flyer, bell lap, it's over. Now, we've been sitting, like I said, for 15, 20 minutes now. Had some good long conversations. And now on cold legs, it's a 4-minute power test, basically. I think I did my fastest lap either right here or on the next lap. It was like 140, 142, something like that. And literally right now off the start, it already felt like I was squatting, just max reps on squats right now, just because there's no blood flowing. My heart rate was down to 130, sitting there so long, and you got to instantly get it back into the 180s, 190, and not to mention starting back like this, people that didn't have a chance before, they're just going for it right now off the front, all out sprint. Now, of course, they can't sprint for 2 laps. Yeah, not a max watt sprint, but if you can see off the front, people are going for it. I 100% understand like Jack and Eli going for it because, again, they're juniors and they know they can't out sprint most of us like older guys, So their best chance right now with 2 laps to go is like, hey, catch me if you can, and that's basically the game they're playing right here and a bunch of other people. So I know it's going to come back, but you can't just rely on that. You got to put in the work. And unfortunately, for me, like you see, I'm 500, almost 600 watts right here. And we're going to hold basically almost 300 for 2 laps. And that just took so much out of my sprint, There's Eli coming back in right there, and he's kind of popped now. I think Jack might be still in it. Jack might be still up here somewhere. So I'm hoping right here, because I got Willie in front of me right here, Dr. Chocolate. Check out his YouTube channel. I got Willie in front of me. I know he has stamina. I know he does the bowl all the time. We even talked about it today when it was neutralized, and I was hoping to catch a lead out from him. He's a bigger guy also, and I know he has muscle, and he can definitely hang in here for the lap. But I don't know what happened to him. Like, I ended up switching places and leading him out. I think it's just because I saw Go Fast forming again. So I'm like, okay, 3 Go Fast guys, 100% that's going to be a lead out for them. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're lining it up. I said, okay, maybe I can jump on their train and use them as a lead out. And I do to a degree, but it's just hard getting position. I'm on the outside trying to squeeze in there. My man here in the orange right here, he does a great job of holding his wheel. He has no reason to let me in there and take the lead out from him. I think it's Ricky off front right now doing the lead out, and he has it up to good speed. We're at 31 miles per hour, and yeah, this is just where it is. I can't go too much further off the inside. At this speed, I definitely need break from the wind, some shelter. Come off here pretty good, but I just used too many watts too soon, coming back from 25th place or whatever it was. And I got kind of surprised right there, but really the stage 2 guy comes under me right here, and that killed my momentum just a little bit. So now I didn't have my RPMs up to really put down power, and that's all I could muster. I think I hit 990 for max power, and you saw it was only like 850 or something. And I just had to, just didn't have the right gearing and right position. I was a little passive right there on the last, like, going into that last corner. I should have put in a little harder effort going into that last corner, but it's all good. 5th place, no big deal. Great job again to go fast. So here's when my man from Velosport comes up and makes my day, telling me that he started racing from watching my video. So there he is, my man. You know, I really do appreciate those things. And if you do watch the videos, you ever see me out there, come out and introduce yourself so I can know who you are. And, you know, we can hopefully grow and learn together racing bikes.
Don't always stick to popular opinion. Learn it for yourself. Really study, you know what I mean? Hey, welcome back to A Faster Me. Just doing my post-race breakdown or interview. So I did the Cat 5 today. It's a pretty good race. Hats off to the Go Fast team. They had a good strategy, kept the pace kind of hot. Repeat attacks. Unfortunately, there was not enough cooperation by some of the other teams in the race to run it down. We did eventually run it down though by the end. Big crash at the end kind of separated it, and then it was a 2-lap flyer basically. After that, we had a 4-minute race or something at the end on the restart. Feel pretty good. I just had a late start on the last 2 laps, so I had to make up too many places at the end, and Moke ended up getting 5th place. Just didn't have much of a sprint at the end of the race. So thanks for watching.